Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen, to the She Knows Pro Football Podcast. Once again, I'm Alice, aka the NFL Girl. And once again, back for another season is my good friend Dominick. Dominick, how are you doing over there?
I'm not doing too bad. Got my final draft tonight, Wednesday, and other than that, I'm doing pretty good.
Well, other than the world going to hell in the last year, you guys, everything has been pretty much normal, I would say. So somehow the NFL is going to get a football season kicked off. Let us pray that they can get through an entire football season. We had seen some sports be able to do it good, the NBA and the NHL, and we've seen some that have had some hiccups like the MLB. Let's see where the NFL can fall between those, considering they're kind of leaning more towards doing things exactly how the MLB is. Ooh, let's wish them luck on that. That being said, we got week 1 coming up, starting tomorrow. So, Dominick, we're going to get started with our first game, which is a rematch from last year. The Houston Texans versus the Kansas City Chiefs. Dominick, who you got?
Yeah, honestly, we have to take the Chiefs in this one. I know Houston beat the Chiefs last year in the regular season. When it really counted, though, in the playoffs, Kansas City came back from that monster deficit and just whooped up on the Houston Texans. I think it's going to happen again tomorrow. The Chiefs bring back 21 of their 22 starters from last year. Patrick Mahomes is back and healthy. They have their new Clyde Edwards-Helaire in there in the backfield. He's the only non-returning starter. So I think they're going to dominate. They're going to get their championship rings. They have 15,000 fans going to be there, and the line's 9 points, and I think they're going to cover it easily.
As much as I love that both Watson and Mahomes got their deals done and are going to be sticking with their teams for a while, the Texans' biggest shocker, I guess, for most people was the fact that they gave away, pretty much, DeAndre Hopkins. He did gain David Johnson in the process, but I don't know what that's going to mean for them. I definitely agree with you 1,000% on this. The Chiefs, I feel like, not only did they bring back pretty much, like you said, all of their starters, they also gained the addition of Edwards-Helaire, which is going to be, of all the rookies that came out that I have the most confident in, it's definitely him in that backfield, playing behind such a phenomenal quarterback. In this particular game, now, will the Chiefs have hiccups along the way? Of course, no team can go back to back like that. It's very rare, but I definitely feel starting out, they're going to start out strong. This right here is going to be their first win of the season. So I'm definitely giving this one to the Chiefs. Let's move on to Sunday. Our first matchup, we got the New York Jets versus the Buffalo Bills. Now, the Bills' biggest addition was they had Stephon Diggs. So, Dominick, who you got?
Yeah, I'm going to take the Bills in this one. We know that last year the Jets' defense was great against the run. They were number 2 in the league. We know the Bills like to run, so that would seem to be something that they're not going to be able to do. But that was with Jamal Adams, who was great against the run. He's not there anymore. They still don't have C.J. Mosley. I don't think it's going to be a blowout because these two teams tend to play each other very close no matter what their records or what their teams are like. But I do think the Bills are going to be able to pull this one out at home.
Listen, I have no confidence whatsoever in Adam Gase. I don't feel like that they've made any great improvement on that team, whereas I really feel like Stephon Diggs is going to play really, really well there with Josh Allen. I think that was kind of what they needed, was another top quality receiver of WR1, and I think that's what they got. And so I 1,000% agree with you here. I definitely think the Bills are going to get this win, and unlike you, I think there's a potential there for a blowout. I just don't think that the Jets made any great improvement, and I think their defense is going to be garbage this year. Next up, we got the Green Bay Packers going against the Minnesota Vikings. And like I said, we just said that Diggs has moved on to the Bills. That means that's one of the big key loss that Minnesota has. Dominick, who you got in this matchup?
Yeah, they do have a big key loss. They have another big key loss today where their all-pro defensive lineman, Donnell Hunter, was placed on IR, so he's going to be out for at least the first 3 weeks. So that's going to hurt their defense as well. I think Aaron Rodgers is on a mission this year. I know last year they played this first week at home with Green Bay. Actually, the second game, Green Bay played Minnesota in Green Bay last year. They almost won the game, and then they ended up, I believe, tying or going to overtime in the end because Minnesota made a comeback. I don't think it's going to be that close this time. I think Aaron Rodgers is pissed off. He's going to come out this year and show that he is one of the best quarterbacks in the league ever and still right now. So you think Green Bay is going to win this game even though they're underdogs right now by 3? I think they are going to win this game by about a touchdown.
The biggest thing that Kirk Cousins did kind of irritate me was the whole mask issue. We're not going there. It didn't portray him in the best light, and it makes me kind of leery on them because it kind of makes me feel like they're a little bit overconfident if you're overconfident about the mask thing, kind of might be a little overconfident on other things there. Loss of Stephon Diggs, I feel like is big. I get that they feel like they didn't necessarily need him anymore because of Thielen and because of Rudolph. I get it, but and obviously Dalvin Cook, but I just don't feel like, I really feel like that's going to hurt them more in the long run. Not only that defense has had some shakeups this offseason. I think that's going to have a big impact on them. I'm very confident that the Packers are going to have a really good season this year. I have a feeling that they could potentially win the division. Again, let's see if that is actually true. So I don't know. I really feel like this first game is definitely going to go to the Packers. They got a lot to prove. They got to, Aaron Rodgers is ready to get himself another Super Bowl, and if nothing else, potentially get out of the league in the next few years. But he definitely wants another Super Bowl, so he doesn't have that hanging over his head. So yeah, I'm like you. I'm going to give it to the Packers.
I'm going to call it right now, and it's probably not going to happen just like on the last podcast we did when I said Cam Newton would go to the Bengals. But I think Drew Brees is going to retire after this year, and Aaron Rodgers, because he's going to get out of Green Bay because they want to bring Jordan Love in there. Aaron Rodgers is going to go to the Saints for the final 3 or 4 years of his career, and then the Saints are going to have another awesome quarterback into his 40s to work with Michael Thomas.
Ooh, you heard it here first, people. You might be seeing Aaron Rodgers down in New Orleans. That would be a good one. So let's keep our eye on that for the future. Next up, we got the Philadelphia Eagles versus the no-name Washington football team. Dominic, who you got?
Yeah, I don't know. I think that's the best team name they ever had. So I don't know if it's no name or not. We have to worry about the offensive line here with the Eagles. Obviously, they lost their left tackle, Dre Dillard, earlier this year. They lost Brandon Brooks earlier this year. Jason Peters has moved to left tackle again, but he's been injured over the past couple of years, so we don't know what's going to happen there. The Washington do have a very good defensive line, so it's going to be a struggle for the Eagles to keep up with their offensive line against the defensive line there. I do think they're still good enough. They still have no wide receivers, which they didn't have at the end of last year, but I still think they're good enough to beat this Washington team who still really has nothing on offense other than Terry McLaurin. So I do think the Eagles are going to win this one, even though it's in Washington this year to start the year.
Honestly, given that the Eagles have, like you said, offensive line issues, that's going to be a struggle for them all season unless they can find a way to address that. But I feel that the Eagles have the most potential in the NFC East to have a good season if they can find a way to address that issue. Washington, on the other hand, I'd have no faith in whatsoever. And don't get me wrong, that's not to say that they didn't make some awesome moves as far as bringing in Ron Rivera to coach, and really a lot of their off-season moves were good decisions or whatever. I kind of don't like the fact that they got rid of Peterson, but that's not on me. As much as I would like to see Washington do something so again that the NFC East would be competitive again, I really feel like it's going to be another lost season for them. They had the potential to have brought in Cam Newton this off-season. They didn't. I don't get why, but hey, whatever. So I wish Ron Rivera luck there in Washington, especially with all the messiness that's going on with that team. But I have no faith whatsoever in this team. Definitely giving this one to the Eagles.
Yeah, I'm glad to see Ron Rivera got in there. Hopefully his battle with lymphoma goes great. It's their 3 best moves this offseason. Obviously, we're bringing in Ron Rivera, Jason Light, and Julie Donaldson.
1,000% those were their absolute best moves. Some of their player personnel decisions weren't the best, but we'll see. Next up, we got the Cleveland Browns going to Baltimore to face the Ravens. Dominic, who you got?
Yeah, this one's going to be short and sweet. Cleveland is good on offense. We thought they were good last year. I think they are going to be better on offense this year. We know the Ravens want to be great on offense. They want to run the ball. I think they're going to be able to run all over this Browns team. The Browns brought in Grant Delpit in the secondary to help out. They had Grady Williams from last year. They're both out for this year, so their defense is going to be awful, especially in this first game. So I have the Ravens beating up on the Browns, kind of like they did against Miami last year in the first game.
I know that the Browns hope that, this time they've got the answer at the coaching position. I don't believe that. That's neither here nor there. As far as the players are concerned, I mean, again, you have the same key weapons. You got Jarvis Landry and OBJ. You got your Baker. You got your Nick Chubb. Okay, fine. They're going to score points. Can they stop anyone from scoring with that defense in shambles? Absolutely not. And that's going to be the problem. And they're going to go face the Ravens. And again, Ravens are going to have their issues with their defense, but not to the level that the Browns will. And the Ravens just have such a good offense. You know, I love Hollywood. I love Lamar. I love Mark Ingram. There's so many good pieces there. So, yeah, like you said, I don't even think it's going to be an interesting game because I just really feel like the Ravens can really get off to an easy 2-3 touchdown lead. So definitely giving this one to the Ravens, especially because they're at home. Next up, we got the Indianapolis Colts with a very interesting new quarterback versus the Jacksonville Jaguars, who gave up their running back. Good Lord. Dominic, who you got?
Yeah, one thing we know about this is that Leonard Fournette's not going to be there and that Gardner Minshew is the quarterback for the whole season no matter what. I mean, I'm sure you saw it, obviously, but not only did they keep Gardner Minshew, but they released both of their backup quarterbacks. They only have one rookie quarterback as the backup now. So it's Gardner Minshew or nothing this year. That's not going to be enough this week. They really don't have anybody behind center right now. They have Chris Thompson there. They have rookie James Robinson there in the backfield. And then they have DJ Chark. And DJ Chark is going to have a monster year because they have nothing else there. I don't think it's going to start this week against the Colts, though. This game's going to be close because they always play each other tough. But the Colts defense is better than it has been in years past. Their offensive line is one of the top 3 or 4 in the league. They have Phillip Rivers there, who is accurate even though he's old. So I think he's going to be able to get the ball out to the receivers here. So I do like the Colts to win this game.
1000% agree with you on this one. Jaguars, what are you doing? What are you doing? Okay, fine. Whatever his off-field antics or even on-field antics have been, he's been a dog there or whatever. He's had some off seasons. He's suffered some injuries or whatever. The man has been there. I have confidence that Gardner Minshew will play solid. Let's go with solid. I don't think he'll play that great. The draw with him is he has a great personality. Great personality doesn't necessarily translate into great play on the field. He's played okay, and so that's what I expect out of a season for them is okay. They're facing the Colts, who, I mean, my goodness, you bring in Phillip Rivers. That's just such a great move. So I think that's going to go really well. I actually expect that to go really well for them. And then they have such a good defense. So I'm with you. Like I said, 1000%, I think that the Colts are going to get this win, and you expect it to be a little bit closer than I do. I expect maybe at least 2 touchdown score separation between those. I definitely think the Colts are going to get it, and it's not going to be as close as you're predicting it to be. Next up, we got the Las Vegas Raiders. Whoops, almost messed that one up. Versus the Carolina Panthers. Dominic, who you got?
Yeah, neither of these teams are going to be very good this year. I do think the Raiders are going to be better than the Panthers. I do like the coaching hire that the Panthers made with Matt Rule. Obviously, they have the best player in the NFL in Christian McCaffrey, but I don't really trust Teddy Bridgewater right now. We have to see what happens with the rest of that team. I do think Josh Jacobs is going to be very, very good in this game as well, but I do think it's going to be higher scoring than most people are expecting to see. Even though they're favored on the road, I do think Carolina may actually win this game at home with just be based on Christian McCaffrey because neither of these teams are all that great.
I have to agree with your assessment that neither of these teams are really great. That's basically, that's the answer about both of them. I love Josh Jacobs. I love the production out of him last year. I think he's going to do even better this year because they need to rely more heavily on that run game. I don't know what Derek Carr's future is, but I expect good things out of Josh Jacobs. Panthers, again, like you said, they're going to have to lean heavily on Christian McCaffrey. We'll see how that works out. I'm like you. I don't know what's going to happen with Teddy Bridgewater. He had those, like that 5-game stretch where he did really well last year for the Saints, but he also wasn't the number one. Here, you're going to be the number one. Yeah, okay, we'll see. I wish him well. I hope it works out. I just don't see it being, I personally don't see it being this game. I actually am going to lean and say that in this case, I believe that the Raiders are going to get the win. As much as it hurts me as a Broncos fan to say that, I do believe the Raiders are going to get the win there in Carolina. Next up, we got the Chicago Bears going to Detroit to face the Lions. The Lions' biggest acquisition was getting Adrian Peterson. Dominic, who you got?
Yeah, maybe I'm drinking a little too much of the Kool-Aid here. Never been a big Bears fan. I don't think their offense is very good again this year. Allen Robinson is great. David Montgomery is hurt. All he did today in practice was stretch. That means it's going to be down to, Allen Robinson and Tariq Cohen behind with Mitchell Trubisky. I don't believe in Mitchell Trubisky, so I may be drinking the Kool-Aid here, but I do think Detroit's going to come out in the first week and pull off a win here at home.
Now, for me, the Bears just, oh my God. First of all, Bears, until you get rid of Ryan Pace, you guys are never going to improve. I'm sorry. That's just, I'm keeping it real with you guys. I'm not confident in Ryan Pace as a GM. I do not feel he has made the best moves for this team. I don't know what the hell the whole thing of bringing in Foles and then deciding you're still going to start Trubisky anyway. So that just made no sense whatsoever. Whatever. That's the Bears. They're always going to be a hot mess to me. I don't expect good things out of them again this season. Lions always, to me, have potential. I think the addition of Adrian Peterson into that backfield is going to play well for them. I'm expecting good things out of that team this season. I can see Matt Stafford, if he stays healthy, being able to string together a good, hell, I'll go as many as 10 wins. And I'm going to start right here with this one. I 1000% believe that the Lions will get the win in week 1. Next up, we got the Seattle Seahawks going to Atlanta to face the Falcons. Dominic, who you got?
Yeah, it's going to be another high-scoring game here on the track. They're just going to run up and down the field. I really like Russell Wilson. He's the best player in this game, him and Julio Jones. But I think with Tyler Lockett there, with DK Metcalf there, they're going to have Chris Carson's going to be in this game. He's a great running back there. Atlanta has no defense. I know they have Julio Jones, but I think that Seattle's going to be able to take him out a little bit. They're going to have to rely on Todd Gurley, which I don't know if he's going to be able to do anything. I do think this is going to be another high-scoring game. I believe it's the highest over-under of the week at like 57. I think it could probably go over that, but I do think Seattle's going to win this game on the road because I just think they're the better team, and I actually think they're going to win the NFC West.
Wow. All right. That's a bold statement. But not so much, because Seattle is a really, really good team. I love Russell Wilson. I really do. I think he does a phenomenal job in that backfield. I love DK Metcalf. There's so many good pieces there in that team that I really enjoy. Their defense. I expect more out of their defense this season. I'll say that. The Falcons, meanwhile, I expect less out of their defense this year. Their biggest acquisition in the offseason was bringing in Todd Gurley. Okay. Todd Gurley really hasn't done that much in the last 2 seasons. I admit I had a fantasy team last year. He did meh for me. I don't expect better than meh this year because he's still battling whatever this thing is that's going on with his knee that they're keeping kind of hush-hush about. So I expect him to have a decent season. I don't expect him to have a great season. I expect Matt Ryan to have a decent season. I don't expect them to have a great season, and particularly in this NFC South division. Definitely, I'm with you on this one. I think the Seahawks are going to get the win. And like you said, it's going to be a high-scoring game, but I think most of that's going to be on Seattle's side. Next up, we got the Miami Dolphins. They're going to face the New England Patriots. This one is going to be so interesting because this is the first time in an extremely long time we see the Patriots without Tom Brady. No, ladies and gentlemen, we're going to see Cam Newton as the Patriots starting quarterback. Dominic, who do you got in this game?
Yeah, another reason this one's weird is because it seems like every single year the Patriots play Miami in the first couple weeks of the year. This time it's in New England. It's always close when it's in Miami. This time I don't think it's going to be as close in New England. I do think that even though they lost all those players to opt-outs from COVID, they still have a very, very good defense. I do think Cam Newton's going to be very good. I think at this point of Tom Brady's career, I can say that Cam Newton may only be a slight downgrade. Plus, he has the rushing abilities, which is really going to help there. I do like James White. I always have. I think he's going to have a great year. Edelman should have a great year as well, and I think it's going to start this year or this week. I do think that they are going to beat Miami and get off to a 1-0 start in the division.
So the Dolphins decided that they're not going to go to the rookie yet. They are going to have the old head Ryan Fitzpatrick be their starter. And that's cool. And I hope that decision works out for them. Don't expect a lot out of the Miami Dolphins, though. I'm sorry. I just can't do it. They gave away too many pieces last year. I don't feel like they made a whole lot of upgrades. They made some great moves, but I don't feel like they made significant upgrades. But we'll see. I could be completely wrong, but in this case, going against the Patriots and Cam Newton and Bill Belichick are gelling. The way that they glow about each other, my goodness, you would think that they known each other for decades. And I like seeing it. And I'm hoping that the way that they have connected is going to translate on the field. I feel like this may have been what Cam has needed in a head coach. And if he can put the Cam mentality and the Cam ability with the coaching of Bill Belichick, this team is going to be so good. And having James White in the backfield is going to help. Like you said, they had a lot of players that have opted out, and that's going to play a role. But that's going to play a role on all the teams that have had players opted out. So normally, because I know that the Dolphins play them so well and they end up splitting during the year, but just the way the expectations I have for Cam this season playing there in New England, I have to give it to the Patriots. And I absolutely think that this may be a really, really good season for him and for the Patriots. Despite whatever people think is going to happen, I really think it's going to be a good thing.
Yeah, Bill Belichick's doing the Subway commercial. Next thing you know, he's going to start dapping on the sideline when Cam Newton has his first rushing touchdown.
Hey, and I can't wait to see it. Next up, we got the Los Angeles Chargers headed to Cincinnati to face the Bengals. Now, these are two quarterbacks playing new there. Tyrod Taylor is going to be the starter for the Chargers, and Joe Burrow is the rookie playing for the Bengals. This is going to be a good matchup, I feel. Dominic, who you got?
Yeah, the Chargers, their big loss obviously was Derwin James last week. He has he's going to be a major loss for this defense. He's basically the guy that makes that defense run. I know they have, Joey Bosa, they have Melvin Ingram, but he was just the engine that made that thing run. He was able to go all over the field. So that's going to be very difficult for them, but I do really like Austin Eckler and Keenan Allen with Tyrod Taylor. They also have, obviously, Hunter Henry there. For the Bengals, they have Joe Burrow, which he obviously is a rookie, and a lot of times they get nervous. But I think, like they were saying earlier, this is going to be more of a scrimmage for him because there aren't going to be any fans in the stands there. So it's not going to be like a real, first real season game for him. So I think that could really help him out. With Derwin James being injured, I think this wide receiving core of the Bengals can get open. Joe Mixon is able to do something in the backfield more than he was at the beginning of last year. This could be a really good first week for the Bengals. I don't know why. I just have a hunch here. I think the Bengals might pull this one out.
Ooh, interesting pick there. Listen, everywhere Ty God goes, I wish Ty God well. And that's the same here with the Chargers. I want him to do well, even though I'm not a Chargers fan. I'm a Broncos fan. So, and it hurts me to say that I wish a team well, but I do, only because of Ty God. I think Ty God with Keenan Allen is a great matchup. I think Austin Eckler in that backfield is really going to be good for him. He was on my team last year. I can tell you he did phenomenal for my team. And now that he isn't competing for that role, that I feel like his production is going to be even better this season. Again, like you said, loss of Derwin James is going to hurt them on their defense, but they do still have Joey Bosa. They do still have Melvin Ingram. They're going to be fine. And I expect them to have a pretty good season or whatever. The key thing to watch with the Bengals is how well Joe Mixon mixes with Joe Burrow. I'm sorry. It's just, I really believe that that's going to be very key for them this season, is how well that running game takes off, because Mixon let's be honest, Mixon hasn't been that great. And so I feel like if he can really take off this season and maybe being with the new quarterback, he really will have the opportunity to do that. They're getting AJ Green back, having Burrow to Green. Oh, wow. Yeah. It might be a really good season for them. There is a potential for the Bengals to really do something this season. Definitely have more than 2 wins. We can start there. So it's a tough one for me. But again, I'm a Ty God fan. I definitely think that Ty God's going to pull it off. I know with the question marks that with the defense, with, like you said, with Derwin James being out, but I think that their defense is just a little bit stronger. They're going to be going up against this rookie QB. I'm going to give it to the Chargers.
I just really hope that Joe Mixon's migraines don't come back, because that was a shame that what happened in training camp.
1,000%. And as someone that suffers migraines, I can tell you they are blinding, and it makes it really hard to work. Next up, we got the Arizona Cardinals facing the San Francisco 49ers. Now, the Cardinals' biggest acquisition was the addition of DeAndre Hopkins, which OMG. Dominic, who do you got?
Yeah, I really like this Arizona team, but I do have a feeling that because they are in what I consider the best division in football, that they could be the best fourth-place team in the history of the NFL, which is sad to say. I do like DeAndre Hopkins. I always loved Larry Fitzgerald, not just because he was born on the same day as me, just in a different year. I like Kyler Murray. They fixed that offensive line. They re-signed Buda Baker. They drafted Isaiah Simmons to help fix that defense as well. As much as I want to pick the Cardinals here, I just can't, because it is in San Francisco. I think that rush offense is just going to be so good. They have one of the best offensive lines in the league. Their defense is definitely going to take a step back without DeForest Buckner. They only have one healthy cornerback right now, and that's Sherman, who is pretty old right now. But just there's something with Kyle Shanahan with his offenses, with Kittle. They have no receivers either. But I do think they're going to be able to pull this one out. But I do think it's going to be very close. Right now they're favored by 7.5. I would take Arizona plus 7.5. But I do think that the 49ers are going to win.
And I'm going to, again, this is another one where I'm going to have to agree with you on that assessment. Yeah, okay, they did get DeAndre Hopkins, and I think that that's going to bode well for them. I think that's going to help Kyler Murray out tremendously, and I think that they're going to improve their numbers this season. But again, like you said, they'll probably be the best as a fourth-place team, because I don't expect them to have that great of a season. 49ers, meanwhile, I I expect big things out of them. Do I expect them to go back to the Super Bowl? Come on now, let's stop. No, not at all. Do I expect them to potentially compete for the win of this division? Absolutely. With that being the fact that they've got such a strong offense. Yeah, they lost some players on defense, and they're definitely not going to be ranked as high as they were, but I do still expect good things out of them. So definitely, as much as I would love to pick the Cardinals because I do like Kyler Murray, and I think the addition of DeAndre Hopkins is going to be a great one for them, I'm going to give this, I'm like you. They're playing at home. I got to give it to the 49ers. Next up, we got the Tampa Bay Buccaneers facing the New Orleans Saints. Bucs made some, wow, their offseason acquisitions of Brady, Gronk, and Fournette, and Saints gaining Emmanuel Sanders. This is going to be a hell of a matchup. Dominic, who you got?
Yeah, Emmanuel Sanders, probably my favorite offseason pickup of any team. I just really like how he's going to really mesh with Drew Brees and the Saints there. He gives them the best number 2 receiver they've had since Michael Thomas was the number 2 with Brandon Cooks when he was a rookie. They always start off slow, though, which kind of gives me pause. Even last year when they were 10-point favorites against the Buccaneers, they ended up losing in a shootout. It was like 45-42 or 48-45. I think it's going to be another shootout. Luckily, the Vegas agrees that it's going to be a shootout. They also agree that it's going to be a lot closer than it was last year. They're only 3.5-point favorites. Do like New Orleans in this game to win, but I do think it's going to be another one of those 42-41 games that we had last year. And it's going to be a little more difficult because Mike Evans did get hurt earlier today. He has a hamstring injury, so we don't know how limited he's going to be for the game.
Listen, what the Bucs did, wow. It still blows my mind even at this point. And I should be used to it because it's so many months later. But to get Tom Brady, to get Gronk, and then recently to pick up Fournette, I expect good things out of them. I really do. Now, I understand that Arians said it's Rojo's job, but we'll see how that pans out because Rojo has never been that great at the starting RB. So we'll see. I'm not going to speak against Arians, but I just have a feeling that Fournette will end up playing a role there. I expect really good things out of Tampa Bay. But again, we're playing with an older Brady in a different system. Will he still be the Brady he was? I'm hoping he's better than the Brady that played last season. Keep in mind that a lot of the games that New England won last year was on the back of his number 1 ranked defense, with their offense not playing that well. So at least if he plays better than that Brady, the Buccaneers will be able to do something this season. New Orleans' addition of Emmanuel Sanders was incredible. I think that was one of the best moves, like you said, on the offseason, to put Sanders on the other side of Michael Thomas. Oh my God. This team is so stacked. I know what they're doing. They playing for the Super Bowl. They are trying to win one last one for Drew Brees, so Drew Brees can ride off into the sunset. And I want that to happen more than anything because I truly love this team. This is going to be such a good game because how often do you get to see Brady and Brees play against each other? Not that frequently. So, oh my goodness. This is such a tough choice for me. Again, okay, New Orleans playing at home. It's the Saints. I personally feel like they have the better defense of the two because I feel like the offenses are going to be a little bit more evenly matched. So definitely for me, based on the defense, I'm going to give it to New Orleans. And again, especially because they are at home. Next up, we got the Dallas Cowboys facing the Los Angeles Rams. Dominic, who you got?
Yeah, I'm really looking forward to this game. I think it's going to be another great game. We know the Rams have a very good defense. They just re-signed Jalen Ramsey today for 5 years, $105 million, to the biggest contract for a cornerback in NFL history. They're going to need it against this, Cowboys team that has 3 legitimate receivers. We have to see if Amari Cooper is fully healthy. They're saying right now that he's still a little gimpy. If that's the case, but he's still on the field, watch out for Michael Gallup. He's going to have a great game as long as Cooper's on the field. If he's not on the field, I wouldn't really expect as much from Gallup either. Ezekiel Elliott should have another great game here. This is going to be a very good game. Right now, Dallas is favored by 3, but being at home in the new SoFi Stadium, the $5 billion monstrosity that apparently that they built there for the NFL Network and everybody else that's going to be moving in there, I do think that the Rams are going to convey their way to a win here and put this one in, hopefully for, I guess, they're not going to be in the stands, but the women watching at home, Sean McVay rips the shirt off at the end of the game and runs around the field.
Okay, you threw me off there. Listen, Cowboys need to get this deal done with Dak at some point. And that being said, please understand, Dak is going to play his butt off this season. He is. He just is. Because he's seeing what Mahomes and he saw what Watson got. He's seeing these paydays. That boy want to get paid. He want to get paid. And that being said, so expect a great season out of him because he's going to get his money in the end. And the way he's going to do that is play his behind off. Rams, I want to be a Rams fan because I live in Los Angeles. I am not a Rams fan, despite despite the fact I live in Los Angeles. There's so many pieces. There's so much. For me, there's more questions than answers. I feel like they did make some good moves in this offseason. I have too many questions with that defense, though. And I really feel like the Cowboys, like I said, in particular because of what Dak is trying to do and what Dak is playing for, he's got more to play for than I feel like Jared Goff does. And that being said, I'm leaning more heavily on Dak giving it his all in every game this season. And yes, they got this multi-billion freaking overpriced stadium there in LA. Okay, fine. They're getting to show it off or whatever. Definitely still, I got to give it to Dallas. And again, I'm not a Cowboys fan. I'm a Dak fan. I'm a Zeke fan. I'm going to give it to the Cowboys. Next up, we got the Pittsburgh Steelers facing the New York Giants. Dominic, who you got?
Yeah, Pittsburgh, I think, should easily win this one. They have Ben Roethlisberger back. I think Juju's going to have a monster year. As long as James Conner is healthy, he's going to be the bell cow back there, and he's going to have a great year as well. Where the Patriots were the number one defense last year, and San Francisco was number two, I think Pittsburgh's going to be the number one defense this year. They have TJ Watt again. They have Minkah Fitzpatrick. They just re-signed Cameron Hayward. They're going to have a monster year on defense as well. The Giants have nobody on offense, really, other than Saquon Barkley. I do like Golden Tate, but he's not more than a possession receiver right now, so I do like Saquon Barkley, but it's not going to be enough, and Pittsburgh's going to win this game in the first Monday night game.
I have no confidence whatsoever in the Giants. I'm sorry, I just don't. None whatsoever. There's no way that they're going to get wins this season. The Washington and Giants games will be, I think, more interesting this season or whatever, because there's more questions than answers with both of those teams. The Steelers, though, man, Ben is coming back fully healthy. You got James Conner there. Like you said, Juju is ready. Juju put on some muscle this offseason. I don't know if you've seen him. Homeboy really is focused this year. He did not like his production numbers last year. He is all in on trying to give it everything he got this season. He put on a ton of muscle. Kudos to him. This is going to be a solid team. And like you said, the fact that they re-signed Cameron Hayward to a long-term deal, they're putting their chips in the middle. They are ready to go back to the playoffs, ready to get into the Super Bowl. I'm all for it. I'm down. Let's go. Giving it to the Steelers week 1. Let's go. And last up, we got the Tennessee Titans to face my Von Miller-less Denver Broncos. Dominic, who do you got?
Yeah, we talked about this off the air. They said that the Von Miller injury happened on the last play of training camp, the entire training camp. And, my comment to you was if it wasn't going to be the last play of the training camp, it definitely was after that happened. So that's kind of a misnomer. But I know how much you love Derrick Henry. He's a great guy, but at 255 pounds going up to the Mile High City, I think he's going to be huffing and puffing by the fourth quarter. You never bet against Denver in the opening month of the year when people aren't used to going up there. I do like what they're doing on offense here. I have a love affair with Noah Fant. I don't know why. I've really loved him since he came in the league. I love him even more this year. Jerry Jeudy's going to have a great rookie year. He's a technician receiver. He's not one of those guys that needs to get up and outbeat everybody like a Mike Evans. He's not a speed guy like Deshaun Jackson. So this type of receiver like a Stephon Diggs, Amari Cooper, like he is easier to get into the league. He's going to have a very good rookie year alongside Cortland Sutton, bringing in Melvin Gordon. I really like Melvin Gordon this year as well. They still have Phillip Lindsay there. And I'm actually going to pick the Broncos to have an upset in this first game against Tennessee.
Ooh, wow. Okay. Listen, Melvin Gordon in this offseason talked about the adjustments he's had to make as a running back in that thin Denver air. That altitude difference makes a big difference. And that's on somebody that's smaller than Derrick Henry. Derrick Henry, like you said, I expect the same thing you said. That Denver air really, that altitude, that air really hits a lot of players really, really hard. Even Von Miller has said it in the past because he has asthma that he has struggled sometimes and that he's had to go to the sidelines for oxygen. So imagine somebody that's not accustomed to that. It's going to be a factor in this game, and it definitely be a factor on a guy that is 6'5", 250, 260 pounds is going to be a factor. If you take him out of the equation, I like A.J. Brown. I just don't know that the passing game is capable enough to overcome the fact that their running game is going to struggle. I'm like you. Like I said, with Denver, I expect good things out of them. They do now have Melvin Gordon along with Phillip Lindsay in that backfield. That should be a good 1-2. We'll see how that works out for them. I'm hoping it works out for them. Drew Lock is on his second season. I expect he might take a little bit of a regression. I don't expect too much because, like you said, Noah Fant there. They added the addition of Judy there. It's going to be I expect a pretty good season out of them. Not a great one because, again, the loss of Von Miller is very, very significant. So, yeah, I'm like you. It's my team, and I'm not being a homer in this case. I just feel like I said, it's simply just because they're playing there in Denver, and I really feel like Derrick Henry's going to struggle. And once you take him out of the equation, it's really harder for that passing game of the Titans to be able to step up. So I definitely see the Broncos being able to get it just off of that alone. Well, that's all our matchups for the week. Dominic, I know it's week 1 for everybody. Give me one start and one sit in fantasy.
Well, since we talked earlier before we came on the air, and you said I'm not allowed to use Lamar Jackson and Patrick Mahomes and Michael Thomas for my starts, I'm gonna go with Kareem Hunt. I know that Cleveland Browns are going to lose this game. I think they're going to lose big, but that means good things for Kareem Hunt. They're going to have to throw the ball. I think they're going to have to get it to the people out of the backfield, and that's going to be Kareem Hunt here. He's going to have a great game, I think, in this one. He could possibly outscore Nick Chubb in this one, so I do really like him sitting this week. I want to say, even though it's going to be a very high-scoring game, and I know a lot of people drafted one of them early, I'm going to sit the entire Tampa Bay backfield. If you want to start their receivers, and obviously in Chris Godwin and Mike Evans, you can certainly do that. But as for their backfield, you don't know which one's going to do what there. I know they are going to end up going to Leonard Fournette, but it's not going to be this week. Ronald Jones is not good as a pass catcher out of the backfield, which is what they're going to need in this game. So you can't trust anybody in the Tampa Bay backfield in this game.
Ooh, I gotta agree with you on this. Even with the addition of Fournette, I got too many question marks with that backfield. And like I said, Arian said that he wants to make Rojo his RB1. Let's see how that works out. Well, everybody, that's our time today. I want to thank all of you guys for listening. Be sure to follow me on Twitter at TheNFLGirl320. Dominic, where can they follow you?
You can follow me on Twitter at EnvisionFF.
You can read more of my thoughts on SheKnowsProFootball.com. Dominic, where can they read your work?
You can read my work at FantasyHotRead.com as well as Rotoballer.com, and I just did my first article for the BaltimoreRavens.com.
Awesome. This is why I love having Dominic on my show, you guys. Well, that's all the time we have. Thank you guys all again for listening. See you back here next week.